good morning for me because here is early morning. I am in Europe. I am in Italy at the border with near the border with France. And good evening for you. It's a pleasure to be here, and I would like to thank you, you here, and the organization of Collages for this possibility to and this feeling to speak to another part of the world, to attend an online conference, just like feeling together with everybody. So my proposal for this conference is about analog collage and about art journal. Analog, yes, not digital. You could ask yourself, you could think, why analog when we can use collage, digital collage? Well, analog collage are an incredible, fantastic, and powerful mean to stay in touch with our senses. So to stay connected with our body. But I would like to start from the beginning, because of this story begins with Amani. Amani is a 9-year-old. Is 9-year-old. She's from Afghanistan, and now she's in Serbia. Amani is in Serbia, a 9-year-old girl in Serbia, and because she's a migrant, and for the moment she's with her family in Serbia. She's one of my little students. I teach too every week, and she's in a camp in Serbia, and she must learn English, of course. She lives in a one room in Serbia with a family, no space, no possibility to have even one desk. And when the first period I tried to start a lesson plan, I asked her, can you count from 1 to 10? Can we work with a color? No. One day I asked, do you want to collage? Do you have a journal? Do you have a piece of paper? And can you take some glue and collage? And she said, oh yes. And we started with this scraps of paper and a piece of a white sheet of paper. It changed my relation and the possibility to arrive to Amani. It changed it completely. She was very, very happy to collage. Yes, when I say scraps, I mean real scraps, something like that. Every kind of paper, pieces of paper, torn posters, recycled material, everything. They are available to everybody. Scraps and paper are everywhere. They have the zero cost. I have, for example, here these. Everything is available, is up to the person who uses them to choose. This is a scrap. This is also a scrap, a music sheet, but it's not important to piece of any paper is scrap. And then what else? Glue, scissors, but even scissors are not so important. There is all a tradition of hand-cut collage. And what is absolutely fundamental is that with this kind of activity, we can touch, we can come to our senses by touching, feeling this. And in this period, in particular, of important and challenging upheaval in the world around, remaining in touch with the senses, with our body, and with object, real object, is fundamental from my experience. And I started observing the use of another collage with the students of all ages, because I teach to children, but also to adults and adolescents. It doesn't matter. It is really, really powerful. Of course, we have to give direction, to ask things when we want to really use it connected to a lesson plan. But is a great way to remain connected. And what else? To find back the motivation. Children, students are really suffering in this period. I have this incredible range of students. And I work with the Italian and French students, but I also work in Serbia. I have been with the students coming from Afghanistan, Syria, and many other places. I've been working, I have been working in Myanmar as a teacher trainer, and I worked in the past because I was part of international projects in Thailand, and in Indonesia for a period, so in Kenya. So I have a vision. I can say I have a huge vision of the students, and now they suffer. Adult students studying even business English, for example, they suffer. They suffer for this for the measures, the lockdowns, the isolation. They are suffering. Of course, it's a great period also of innovation, but we cannot hide this strong point. They suffer. And I needed an answer. I wrote, I found it, well, it's really complicated to say I found an answer. I found the mindfulness meditation can be a great help. So, and analog collage can be strictly connected. Why? Because when we cut and paste, also journal making is a very creative activity. When we do this, we are concentrated on the process. So we touch material things, material object of our everyday routine, and we do it for the process. So we enjoy the process. For example, our journal. I wanted to show here my art journal of 2020. And just to see what I mean when I say a journal, this is, I finished it. I started it at the beginning, so in January or, yeah, in the beginning of January of last year. And I finished at the end of the year. Sometimes in an art journal it's possible to write something, and is up to everybody to choose how to create the various pages. What I discovered with my students, my little student Amani, is that she already had a journal, and She had started it with fantastic, incredible, fantastic little collage here and there. So I started asking her, can you take your journal? Can you please show me a page? And for the following week, I asked her, can you create this for next week? And she did. So it's not a complete answer, but it is an answer. It is possible to think, but why analog and not digital collage? We are using Zoom, we are using platforms, and I work remotely, but well, I've been working remotely since 2013, so for me it's the usual. But in any case, why not digital collage? There is a specific explanation that I think can be useful. Digital collage are fantastic, but you are always inside the PC technology. You are always there. You don't stop. You maybe with students you have your lesson, you have other contact with friends, always with technology, and then collage, yeah, the creativity, always with technology. No, in my opinion, it's possible to use both analog and digital collage, of course, but analog collage can help to remain in touch with reality. There can be some interesting options for the lesson plans too. For example, here, this is an analog collage, and this is a real leaf. Going outside, looking for leaves or flowers, painting them can be a wonderful way to ask students to do a specific and particular task. So it's also useful for this reason. That's it. Enjoy the process. Come back to the senses. We can feel grounded and safe when we really enjoy the process. We can feel really connected, and it's great connected to our teaching. But to do that, we must say shut up to our inner critic. What is the inner critic? The inner critic is that voice that we have, sometimes telling us inside our mind, or is like a monkey on our shoulder saying, oh no, you cannot be creative because we needed to practice before using it in our teaching. No, you're not good, you're not enough, it's better to leave this idea, stay on something more, something common, normal. The inner critic can be an enemy, a daily enemy, asking us to block our creative part and to block our ideas to reach our students. The inner critic is there to find excuses to postpone everything. We all have an inner critic. And for example, the inner critic is the creator of hundreds of lies that we tell ourselves. For example, fear. Oh no, I won't do it. I'm so afraid of failing, sorry. I won't turn out the way I imagine anyway. So many ideas, but I don't know how to execute them perfectly. So I don't do. This idea of perfection, no? Of purpose, of reaching something. This is where enjoy the process becomes a fundamental point. We have lost a little bit the idea that enjoying the process is the real meaningful part. And when it becomes meaningful, it becomes also helpful for ourselves first and for our teaching. Otherwise, other people can do it better. Oh, my cat was sleeping on my sketchbook, so I couldn't. I can't do paint or collage in my home. There are people distracting me. I'm too tired because and I don't want to do it now. Or environmental issues like I can't concentrate in my house, my studio is a mess, and stuff like that. All the lies that we tell ourselves usually are created by the inner critic that is there. We need to shut up the inner critic, because the inner critic is what usually blocks our creative activities and all the activities that we can start with our student. Is very important. It's very important also to teach them. Is a way to gain trust. And we have to rebuild motivation and trust. The discouragement, fears, and prolonged stress of this pandemic created the need to offer a new learning model. Touching the paper, breathing in, breathing out, maintaining the contact with our body is really important and can really show wonderful result. I just would like to show you a very short video about how to collage, so about something really practical. Only a moment. Yeah. Okay.
There is that one rule I follow, and you can follow it too, and you'll see your piece.
Wait.
Always with collage, there is that one rule I follow, and you can follow it too, and you'll see your pieces will improve. Actually, there are two rules. I'm going to tell you about both. But the first one is that we start with bigger pieces and we create clusters and layers, allowing all of them to be seen, but always start with bigger ones. So like this one was bigger, and then I put a smaller one on top. It just creates, you know, some sort of harmony, and it makes it all a little better. And the other rule is, and some of you are not gonna like it, and I myself, I don't like it, but that's the truth. In collage, less is more, usually less is more. So less elements you have, the higher chance that they will have bigger impact, they will be more powerful. If you have a lot, and worst of all, you also aren't really sure how to make some of them into focal points, then it's starting to be a bit of a mess. So today I'm using quite a lot, but not too much. And then we will be also using colors to make some of those elements pop, make them into focal points. So that's also good to remember. Okay, so plainish elements here for outside the face. We're gonna add some color to it in a minute. I'm gonna cut it off, obviously. And now we can use similar elements, same basically, for the hair. You know, like hair can be big, really big. But we won't see much of it because we will cover it with some other elements, but we want to have some bits of it showing just so it looks coherent, obviously, and it tells a story rather than be just some random bits of paper.
So a collage must look coherent and it tells a story. Only these two elements, for example, are incredible inspiration for a lesson about coherence and cohesion and about the story, storytelling, vision.
Well, this is a wallpaper, actually. I really love it. But if it's about wallpaper, sometimes it's very thick, of course. And especially for a collage, you might not like it. So I just like to tear that top layer and get rid of the thick bit of paper. Because that's all I need, really. Okay, I have also this paper. I would like to place it right here. Okay, I'm just gonna play with it a bit. Okay, now here's the deal. As you probably noticed, all of those elements that I'm using for the background are in neutral colors because that allows me to later add any color I like and to make it look tidy, not messy. I mean, this is obviously greenish turquoise something, but I know this is the color I'll be using later on, so I'm allowed to do that. So choose big elements for your background that are in neutral colors, being white, gray, creamish, sepia kind of color, and you will make your life so much easier.
So the word play came also, we could listen the word play in this video. She's I followed, she's Keisha Avery. She's an artist and a teacher of collage and art journal, and I followed her courses for a long time. She's a sort of teacher for me, and she helped me to understand the importance of collage and the importance of doing it for the process. And after I decided to apply it to the ELT classes. And so I think that considering it like a play, also it can give, it depends of course on our students, but can help and can give many also possibility to change and to ask to create creative lesson plans. Cutting with the hand, so hand cutting is another important thing to remember. Of course, if we have something specific to ask, we can use scissors, but hand cutting is something more that we can do with our hands, And in this period in particular, but is a risk with online lessons. And I found this risk also before the pandemic. The risk is to forget the body, to forget the part where we are human. We can have strong connections, build with empathy, and I would say also we can be close to our students, even with online classes. And it's possible to show in our videos, to divide the students in rooms and ask them to work together. So using scraps, collage, and art journal is also a way to create connection and to avoid that kind of of mechanical interactions that are very, very usual sometimes we in online classes. For example, is a way to be there. We can. There is not such a strong division among online classes, blended classes, in-person classes. I don't think so. My experience is completely different. Online classes must be rethought. Re-envisioning ELT is the title of the COTISL conference, and online classes must be rethought, reconceived, and using collage is a great method. And I would say that this story is not really finished, but Amani, using collage and also using her precious art journal, that started really improving her English. The story is not finished because she's still in the camp. She's still in the camp for migrants on the Balkanic route in Serbia. She's there. She doesn't know where she will go for the moment. And she's far away from her native country and living in a small room with her mother and father and her brother. She doesn't have a desk. When we have our lessons, she's sitting in a bed because she has no space. But her English is improving, and her collage are always the beautiful way to start. Collage can also be a moment of warm-up. Ask to create, for example, this is a small art journal. Ask him to create an art journal, for example, and to write down in their journal thoughts and impressions is a wonderful way to be there, to show students that we are on their side. Just wanted to show you other scraps. I love personally stealing, I would say, torn posters from the walls of cities. And here is an example of my table when in my studio before starting a collage. I try to find the focal point and I put all my scraps around. So this is a way to prepare, to try, to create a word and then maybe to change it. And this is another powerful element of collage. It's possible to create, it's possible to give a shape to the word. And in this difficult moment that we are living, and in every difficult situation, for example, in a situation like the situation of Amani with children who suffered complex trauma, but not only in those situations in particular, of course, the possibility to create the word they want, to put flowers. She always chooses flowers and beautiful images of nature. Maybe she misses, I think, some specific part of her homeland. Recreate, starting from our inner images, we recreate. And I think this is really, really a wonderful possibility. I just wanted to, speaking about our journal, I just wanted to show you another piece of a video I think is really interesting. And so just one piece is about art journal and what we can say, which can be creative art journal ideas. Sorry.
You'll need to find an old book at the thrift store for this project and tear out a few pages. Cut out any words that sound interesting to you, and then just arrange them into sentences to create a poem. This can be as abstract as you want it to, or you can create a poem about a specific topic, glue the words onto your journal page, and then decorate it with other embellishments. Choose lyrics from your favorite song to inspire this journal spread. You can draw, paint, sketch, collage, anything you want to do to represent this song. Make a spread depicting all of your dreams for the future. You can think about the city that you want to live in, what your house or apartment will look like, the things that you will do or learn, anything that is in your ideal dream world. Find pictures online or in magazines to cut out and collage into your journal. You can also sketch out some of your ideas. I love this prompt because it's just so much fun to create a spread based on your daydreams. As I mentioned earlier, this video is sponsored by Skillshare, so if you haven't heard of them, they are an online learning community for creative people like you and I who just want to learn how to do new things. So they have thousands on a variety of different topics, everything and for any skill level, and you can take classes to learn how to Patreon. You might have seen my gouache experiments recently. I've also really been loving this class by the illustrator Leah. Just get inspiration from, and also I love that she gives different prompts for you to actually work on in your own sketchbook. You can follow along with her and try it out, and I have just really been loving that. So if you want to try Skillshare yourself, free trial for classes. So bring your journal out in nature and find some fallen leaves or flowers to sketch in your journal. And if it's still too cold to go outside where you live, you can always use reference photos of plants to inspire your sketches. Choose a few scenes from a movie you love and do some quick sketches of them in your journal. Your art journal can also be used as a creative way to just organize your life. If you're like me and always have so many ideas and to-do lists in your head, then take some time to get them out of your head and onto paper. And you can make this more creative by designing the page with sketches or stickers or other embellishments. And of course, you can do this in your planner or bullet journal. You probably already are. But this can be really fun to do every now and then in your art journal because it's just less pressure and you don't feel like you're going to mess up one of your planner pages. Similar to the spread inspired by your favorite song, you can also take inspiration from your favorite quote. You could play around with typography and try hand lettering the quote, or simply use it as inspiration for an abstract art spread. It's always fun to dream up future travels that you want to do, so make an art journal spread to help you plan a trip that you'll take one day. Find pictures of the city that you want to travel to, make lists of the things that you'll do, sketch the landscape of the destination, plan what you'll pack in your suitcase, or just create art inspired by the trip. Curate your ideal wardrobe with photos or magazine cutouts. Just have fun dreaming up everything that you wish was in your closet. Use a
These are wonderful ideas for a lesson plan, for a possible lesson plan for older students. So for students of high school students um, or even other students. So what for me is important to underline is that using art journal and collage is not only for children or for kindergarten. This would be precious and fundamental in any case, but is something that we can bring in our classes to give and to share a part of our humanity and a part of our connection to the students. Then it's up to us. It's up to our creative will to have them happy. And organizing a class with Zoom, with an online class, is something of the real more creative things that we can do. So shutting up our inner critic, we can really create wonderful experience in our classes. So I just would like to show you another collage. This is one where there is a butterfly, and the butterfly this is on recycled cardboard, and the butterfly is a possible lesson plan. I painted some part of the butterfly, and then I pasted it on an old Japanese paper and after everything on this normal recycled piece of a packaging, something like that. So collage can be done everywhere using all the possible materials. And this is another fundamental thing to share with students. So collage, you see, this is from Amazon. After Christmas, for example, there were many students have received many packagings, and we worked and recycled all the packagings, doing pasting, using tapes here, creating stories, because when we collage or when we create in our journal, we create a story. There is a story behind every single piece of paper. So what I really would like to underline is that we say scraps, we don't consider it, but there is a story behind and inside every single piece of paper, every single scrap, every single piece of an old bill, of a business ticket, of a receipt, something that we find in our house. There is a story, and if there is not a story, we can create it. So there is also an education to the detail, to an education important to teach how to pay attention to every single detail. There is a story behind this, for example. There is a story behind. Would you like to tell the story? Would you like to listen to the story? This is a great way to connect and to stay with students, to stay with other teachers, because I use this kind of technique also when I'm a teacher trainer, and when I train the teachers, and all together we share the stories that are after our scraps, a piece of paper. We decide. There is also a decision when we have more paper available and that we can choose. There is a decision when we say, now we will collage with this and that. And for example, the French painter Marcel Duchamp created the ready-made. It was an object who was taken and used in a different way. So, and he underlined how the act of choosing was the real artistic action. And the ready-made of Marcel Duchamp strongly influenced a great part of our story of the art in Europe, for sure. Okay, so your PowerPoint's on full screen. I'm sorry. It was not maybe not easy to see, Jeremy. I will maybe I will I don't know what to do because it's not PowerPoint. It's Google, but it's not so different. And maybe I will make them available, my PowerPoint available for if somebody can be interested. I have also all the notes, all the biography, and all the books and links that can be useful, and I can do this. Now, if you have with you a sheet of paper, like this one, for example, and some glue, I really would like in a few minutes, so we can think about 5 minutes to cut and paste, and to leave your inner images, your inner emotion spread on the paper without any inner critic, without anything, only the flow. So enjoying the process and staying with the flow. So taking your scraps and your pieces, whatever you have, whatever you want really, and prepare, let your emotions inside, let what you want to be a flow, a free flow on the paper, something really belonging to you. You doing this. After I would like to see, you will show me what you did, but don't think about anything else than your flow. And doing this, breathe in and breathe out, breathe in and breathe out, and stay with what you have around, stay with what you see around you. So 4 or 5 minutes to do that, and then you will show me your results, and I will be very happy to see that what you did is about your real inner feelings and images and things. Breathing in, staying connected with our body. No worries, no concerns, only the process. Staying with the process, staying with something very physical, very, our body, our creative mind, and we are all creative.
Oh, Francesca, thank you so much. My battery is almost gone. It's almost 2%. But thank you so much. I'll implement. I have to go right now. But thank you so much for the presentation.
Thank you, Maya. Really, thank you. Yeah, I think it's a good idea. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your words also.
Hi, Francesca.
Yes.
I don't have any art supplies right now. I'm sorry. Okay.
Oh, Jane, I
Just
wins.
to let you know. Okay. Yeah.
No, don't, no worries. If Jeremy, when Jeremy is ready, when he wants, he
Okay.
can show me.
I'm ready. I'm ready.
Very good. Very good.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, wonderful. Let me. So very interesting. Can you explain this and keep it a little wonderful?
Well, similar to Gene, I don't actually have that much stuff lying around.
No, no worries. It's
I tried to
okay.
go
It's
for
better.
images more than words or patterns, right? So there's a texture feeling to the color bars. There's a texture feeling to this dot matrix thing. And then this is meant to be a part of a flow chart, but without the rest of the flow chart again. The idea is to get texture.
Yeah, to get the texture. Yeah, yeah, that's great. That's great. Very interesting. Can you feel with the flow? Do it when you do such activities? Can you stay with the flow, or there are thoughts and the inner critics or other concerns disturbing you when we are doing this kind of activity?
My main disturbance was that similar to Gene, I don't have any. I didn't bring any magazines or things to scrapbook from. I just had to kind of take one on the desk.
Oh yes, this can be sometimes. This sometimes can be a good idea. So we have to stay with reduced materials, with reduced supplies. This can be a good idea. I'm sorry for this because I tried to put on a Discord and to ask to the organization to inform that I had interactive things to do with the people, but it was complicated. I think I put it on Discord, but maybe, maybe I put it later because my time zone is different and it was almost impossible for some people. I tried to do my best. Also yesterday there was a similar problem. And, well, usually I ask just if in case some of you or in case somebody would like to repeat this, I usually ask for sheet of paper, some scraps, glue, scissors. Scissors are not even necessary because it's great. It's possible also to hand cut. Great, fantastic. And colors, because colors can be useful too, and tape, but they are not so necessary. They can be, it's fantastic to think, what can I do with this supply that I have, with this piece of paper that I have on my desk? What can I do? But thank you very much, Jeremy. Thank you for what you did. The point I really wanted to underline is that during this digitalized world, it's easy to go in the complete extreme direction. So stop enjoying the process. Stay always on platforms, on apps, on links and websites. And this is a pity. This can create difficulties for us as teacher, for our students. I gave the example of I call them mini student because all my students of the camp are my mini students, but she was an example because in other ways she couldn't stay focused. She couldn't stay concentrated. I could use any kind of fantastic app or videos or video game also, but she didn't want. She didn't really want. With paper, our journal, and colors, she was. I have the images. Her sitting on the bed, her only space, cutting, pasting, and explaining with the best English I've ever heard from her, explaining the wonderful result of her creative action. So we have to rethink creativity, in my opinion, in this period, but daring, really daring, the really bypassing block, because, for example, really somebody, when I speak about this, when I have also sometimes in-person workshop about teaching using analog collage. They say, but why analog? Why this? And I think this is a period for a daring creativity. Yesterday, during my workshop about play with me, about how to play, I showed what I call a calm down kit. So a box full with objects that can be a place to go to where you can relax, but also lesson plan. We ask to prepare a kit, and then it's a lesson plan. So a daring creativity, considering that we are always people, we are in little windows, but we are here, and our senses are here. We are not apps. We are not only processes of connections, of assessments. We are here. And
Sure.
yeah, there can be a way to remain empathic, friends, to ask for the trust, to rebuild the trust from our students. I don't know if you agree, Jeremy.
I agree. Francesca, I find it interesting that you feel that, that your experience shows that creativity helps people with fluency, and they want to use English to talk about their art. Do you have any other kind of teaching points, English teaching points that can link into your collage technique?
Excuse me?
So if I'm going to use collage, I might need to use it to teach something.
Yes.
Prepositions,
Yes.
for example. Do you have any advice about how your collage technique could be applied in a sort of...
Yes, they can be applied, for example, in first asking the students, I don't know which range of age you are referring to.
I teach adults.
Adults, yeah. With adults, it's at first it can become really a little bit tricky, because they say, "Oh my God, well, what are you proposing? What's that stuff? Are you crazy?" Well, my experience with adults applying my collage technique, for example, is connecting it to mindfulness first. Connecting to mindfulness meditation, so to breathe in, the fact of breathing in, breathing out, and relaxing really. This was a fantastic way with adults having a job interview, for example, or my adult students with the IELTS exams. They are always very, very anxious in the period before IELTS exam. I tell them, today, I don't ask you to make the writing test 2 for IELTS, or we don't make a mock of the speaking test, not at all. Today we collage. And they say, "Oh my God, why?" Oh, well, this is an IELTS lesson. No, we collage because during the exam, you will be anxious. You will feel that you don't have enough time. So the other tip I suggest to apply this technique is about time and relaxation. You will, during an exam, during also job interview, if we speak about adults with different things and situations in their lives, time and relax. They usually feel they don't have time. For example, IELTS exam, but like other exams, are always the time is a pressure. They feel the pressure. If they train to stay with the things, many moments, breathing in, breathing out, the body scan exercise. So with the eyes closed, feel your body from the head, feel the nose, the lips, and scan your body, breathing in, breathing out, arriving to the feet, with the feet on the floor and the hands free. Sometimes I ask them to move their arms and to like wings, you know? And so after, they feel such a relaxation that they can understand what is enjoying the process. Enjoying the process is doing the same. Breathing in, breathing out, feel the body, touch, the scraps, touch the paper, and so they can feel. Of course, with adults, it's important to adapt the exercise. A good idea with adults is the art journal or journal or simply sketchbook or notebook. You can call it in any possible way with adults. It's good to have a sort of, you know, with something like that with blank pages, or as you saw in the video, and ask to use it in some ways for poems, for little writing tasks, for paintings, for anything. So with adult, I think this is the best way to use it. And also, when I spoke about and I quoted Marcel Duchamp, the research of the supplies is another incredibly powerful point for all the students and for adults. So you say, next time you will show me, I don't know, you will go and steal from the posters, old posters in your town, or you will sell some part of poem. This comes from a wall in Marseille, France. It was an old event. I don't steal posters of actual events, but when I can, and the paper from the posters is fantastic for collage because it's particular. It has been outside with wind, and sometimes they're wet. So also this moment of choosing what they choose to bring is important. You think is not easy to practice, asking to go and steal posters or stuff like that.
I'm curious about some of the things here with what I'm hearing Jeremy ask, because I do use some art things with my younger learners. I have one younger learner who's she's quite fluent in English, to be honest, but her mom wants regular practice in English. And the thing is we don't really have a set text. You just go in and say, okay, so what do you want to research next? And then we spend the time researching that thing. And she's young enough that she says things like, well, I think this will be too easy. And then she says something like color. And I'm going, that's not easy. That's actually really complex. Right. And we get into physics and we get into all this other stuff. And then she starts to collect all of this information. Now that particular that is a younger learner, that's not an older learner, but I do feel like there's a kind of a central message I'm hearing from this that does kind of apply to older learners that maybe need to be approached in some other way, which is that a lot of my older learners here in South Korea specifically, that they oftentimes the biggest roadblock that they find to increasing their fluency is just a straight up lack of confidence in what they already know. Right. So you say at the very beginning there to kind of like make the inner critic kind of just be quiet and trying to teach an older student how to do that. Now, I'm not sure my South Korean students, I'm not sure if I can convince them to go into like, especially the older ones, into like a self-relaxation mode, because I don't know if they're even built that way. but
yeah. It can be. It is of course, it is. I would say it is a technique that must be tailor-made on
Yeah.
the students. And you can tell me, but it's difficult, maybe impossible if you have many students.
Right.
But this is one point that is fundamental. This reason creates many problems. I don't say that is easy. It's a complicated technique. You hear, oh, analog collage for ELT classes, well, that's easy, cut and paste and have fun and that's finished. Not at all. It is a specific method and it must be really tailor-made and created with a almost a personal or lesson plan, with a personal plan for each student, considering age, considering situation around. So I made my examples. You made this example of your student situation, considering the confidence. How confident are these students? Do they believe in you as a teacher? Do they believe in me as a teacher? How is the level of trust? And we come back to the key words: trust, motivation, relaxation, inner critic to throw away, and creativity. So it's very important to consider each student in his unique way. And this is an element that in this digitalized world we risk to forget, but not because we want to forget, because it is in the medium that we use. It is part of this. We can forget the uniqueness of our students. They also do their part. They also do their part. They do their best to avoid, to show us their uniqueness. But we cannot allow this just because we are in a pandemic period. And in any case, because the use of online lesson will be more and more, even after the pandemic, the pattern, because it is wonderful. I couldn't be connected with you right now if without Zoom from Italy, from Europe to South Korea. So it's wonderful. When I teach to my student that is who is a professor in Myanmar, university professor in Myanmar, I experience wonderful things. The fact that I am her teacher trainer, she's my student, we are both non-native speakers. And so we experience this fantastic idea of global English as lingua franca. So it's wonderful, really, is a great experience. And we can be connected because there is technology. So this is one fundamental point. I must be sincere with you that, for example, with my students in Myanmar, the first time I proposed there to start her art journal, she was a little bit well, she wasn't really convinced, but I said it's a good practice, and we found it a good practice even for teacher training. But she needed to really believe that it was a good practice. Now with the coup in Myanmar, we stopped, but this was not our fault. In any case, in the beginning, she was not so confident. She was a little. She's strongly focused on learning and on the classic kind of teacher training, no? Sure. So very classic. This was something that broke the rules, something really out of the box. So I think that if we consider creativity in ELT something so to do out of the box, now we have to run out of the box. It's a moment to run out of the box and put our unique way of being teachers. Sure. So also Eugene, with your students, you are unique. Your student is unique. In this way, you meet in the middle, and find the tailor-made better way to apply analog collage if you want. Of course, it's not an obligation, but it's a possible way to avoid.
Told your original story, it sounded something very similar to that. You have this young learner in Afghanistan, right?
Afghanistan, yeah,
Who
from
maybe
Afghanistan.
doesn't feel really quite comfortable going ahead and engaging the language. And so in this way, you could like engage it in this other way to engage the personality. It's,
Absolutely.
I do think on another side, and I don't mean to be interjecting, but I do think on the other side that it's possible to do the same sort of thing also using technology. And I'll give you an example of this. The same student that I was talking about, and again, they don't really need that much help with their English, except just to get the practice, and to, I mean, they need help more concentrating than they do with their English. But they saw I had a shirt on and it was purple, and they liked the color purple that I had. And they actually, what she did is she took a piece of white paper. It's almost like a collage, but in a different form. Took a piece of white paper and she cut a hole in it. Then she had me hold this piece of paper in front of the purple. And then she cut the paper that was left of the hole, she cut into little pieces. Then she threw it up, and she's using her phone, and she took a picture of the pieces falling through the hole, right? So that it looked like you, and then the thing is at that point, she says, let me download an application on your phone. And I'm of the generation that downloading is not something taken lightly, but for her, it's something you do all the time, right? We'll just uninstall it as soon as we're done. And I think there's a different form of literacy, because the way that she was going through this particular application she was using, which was just an art application, a paint application, with her fingers moving over the screen with the shading that she's using, she essentially made her own little piece of art from nothing but a piece of paper and the purple that was my shirt. And she did this within 5 minutes. In a way, it's almost like it's the same sort of basic process that you're talking about, but with the technology that she's familiar with incorporated in the same thing. So I think it's possible to do that way.
Absolutely. I totally agree. This is a fantastic example that you gave. I totally agree.
Mhm.
There are many ways using technology to be creative, and our students are really used to using them, and but in this way, of course, and they are fantastic, but there are digital collage possibility to create a digital collage, and there are all the possible ways of being creative using technology. But it's easy. It's very easy, and it doesn't take time. So they enjoy. This is interesting we can discuss a long time about. It takes a short time, and do young learners, or in any case contemporary learners, need to have time to enjoy the flow of the time, to enjoy a long process? In my opinion, they need sometimes to have some moments. Of course, here the blended idea, this way name is so common and so smart to say blended. No, I am really for a blended idea of creativity. So we can use apps and everything, but sometimes come back to our senses and create a personal connection. And if you use an app, you have the idea and you work. You don't there is no distance. This is one fundamental part of mindfulness meditation, for example. When you choose which scraps, which paper, which color, you have space from your idea, your creative task, and the action. If you do it very, very, very fast using apps and links, there is no space. One interesting element of discussion could be, is this space necessary? I think it's necessary for the mental health and for the future adulthood, to take a decision in a certain way, to improve the relationship in a certain way. So both things, a blended idea of creativity, I think is the best. So your example is fantastic.
Jeremy,
Creative.
Jeremy, do you work with, is it, you work in South Korea too? Or,
No, I work in China.
oh, you work in China, okay. Mostly with older learners or
17, 18, 19.
17, 18? So I'm guessing they're somewhat resistant to,
Well, I haven't tried collage technique or any of those kinds of things.
Really?
We do
Fantastic.
some visualization. So for example, you mentioned IELTS. So to prepare for part 2 of the speaking test, we teach visualization techniques, and we also use things like graphic organizers for texts, but that's much more controlled.
right.
As a teacher, I don't have a conscious effort to control it, but the, sort of, okay, use this graphic organizer to think about your essay. It's in and of itself controlled, whereas what Francesca is talking about is considerably more.
Oh, but of course, no, of course, is not. I'm not proposing this as a universal technique for a universal situation for all the students. Of course,
it's an interesting idea. As it so happens, one of the buildings I work in has an art room, so perhaps I could book the art room one day and bring some scissors and glue.
It can be a parenthesis, a part, something to add, not something to substitute. This idea and this idea, so is not to substitute anything at all, but it's also a good idea to work on the inner critic, to how to silence the inner critic, because many young learners, and not only young learners, are they feel more safe if they use technology. Always the inner critic can stay away because technology will protect and will give result. But if they have to create and to do that themselves in that moment, they can feel I'm not enough, I'm not able, it's useless. So all the justification, and it's also good about postponing. It's so easy to postpone. I will do it tomorrow, I will do another day. No, not now. Stay with what you have there around you. Stay there and work on this. This is one important point. But we must consider everything. So Jean, your example is wonderful. And I think this was creative, incredibly creative. But we can also bring our students to maintain the contact because in any case, they have been suffering. It depends, of course, on the countries, on the latitude, on the places. In Italy, we suffered a lot for the lockdowns, and in other countries maybe it was different, but it depends. And for many students, they don't really speak about their sufferings and their problems and their incredible feeling of the world that was changing and breaking in pieces, no?
Yeah,
this is something we have to work with and to consider. We can avoid, you can say, challenging times and great innovation, the great possibility of innovation. Yeah, that's all true. Technology will have is having an incredible impulse. What about the rest? So we have to consider the sufferance, the pain, the strange way. I have some students who cannot go to school in this period because the schools are closed in their areas, and they miss their friends, their mates. They can see them on Zoom, but it's not the same for them in that moment. If they are in the same room playing with something that they can touch, is a path is a little path to feel more to feel like before a little bit. So because if the world is gonna change as we think and as we know and as we are perceiving, I don't think that canceling everything is the right direction. I think that putting together the past and the present towards the future that already is already present is something that for me as a teacher is something important. Then tailor-made every possible thing with every possible technique. This is only technique, but the aspect of enjoying the process and breathing in, breathing out, looking for materials and scraps and paper, thinking every day to write something or paint something in the art journal, I think can be useful in many different processes. And also, we all have inner images, inner, sometimes even inner nightmares, something, and let them flow outside. It's a hard work. My idea that the teacher should be also sometimes a sort of a coach, a sort of a coach is difficult, but is the central point of my teaching. We cannot do it always, but it is a worthwhile challenge. This is what I wanted to say.
Okay, we probably should not keep Jeremy too much later in the day. Is where we've run out of time. It's been 80 minutes. So yeah. So Francesca, thank you so much. Okay. And
Thank you.
you have
It was a
another
pleasure. Tomorrow morning.